Never fall in love again.
You know, I was walking around Food Lion the other day. You know what I ran into? The Takis. You know what? I was like, let me get away from these sons of bitches before I buy them.
Yeah, man, I gotta put some drops in my eyes. They're killing me. I think most of what I had was allergies.
Well, we're coming into allergy season. That's why they removed the tables at the square.
Really?
Yeah, Paul.
That's the real reason.
Well, they ain't come out and said that officially, but why else would you do that
I don't know.
around that time of year?
I don't know.
Because they put them back out at the end of May or in beginning of June.
say?
I don't know. Are you on the line or something?
Huge difference in who will be in charge next year, especially with these primary elections coming up. It'll also help determine who voters choose to represent them.
NPR's Stephen Fowler in Mobile, Alabama. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Los Angeles Lakers star LeBron James has hit another milestone, 40,000 career points. When a 38-year-old LeBron broke the all-time scoring record last February, there was a feeling that he would slow down, but that never really happened. A year later, he is the oldest player in the NBA, and he is still averaging more than 25 points per game. Ben Golliver of the Washington Post is here to break down just how unprecedented a career LeBron James is having and whether this record will ever be broken. Hello.
This is
Hi, great to be with you.
Great to have you. So, I get that LeBron James is just this incredibly special player, but talk about how rare is it in basketball for someone to be this good at his age in particular?
Well, it's very unusual. I'm sure everyone's heard of the phrase career arc, which sort of implies some bending, right? The idea that when you start off playing professional sports, there's probably going to be a little bit of a slow ramp up as you get your feet wet. And then, as you mentioned, typically we expect players, especially when they hit, their mid-30s in basketball, to kind of tail off and to slow down. And for LeBron, his career has essentially been a straight line, especially when it comes to scoring. You look at his very first game, when he was an 18-year-old rookie, he scored 25 points. When you look at his most recent game, when he just crossed that 40,000-point threshold, he scored 26 points. And along the way, in nearly 1,500 games in between, he's averaged 27 points. So I think you get the point here, right? I mean, this guy just every single night, kind of like a metronome, is out there scoring. So to be able to maintain that consistency and never really, enduring a serious injury that cost him like a full season, for example, it's just been, kind of the perfect storm to set a record like this.
I mean, it is just awe-inspiring. Can you just talk about the number 40,000? Like, just how incredible alone is that number that he has reached?
Well, it's a number I never thought would be reached. I started tracking LeBron's scoring and would he be able to become the NBA's all-time leading scorer in 2012, so more than a decade ago. And back then, the conventional wisdom was that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record was untouchable. LeBron will be turning 40, in December, and he's showing no sign of slowing down. In fact, he has talked about maybe wanting potentially another contract this summer that would carry his career even longer.
Wow.
So we don't know how high this record could go. That's the exciting part. This could easily get to 42,000, 43,000, 44,000. At this point, it just boils down to how long does he want to play.
What about also the fact that, there's kind of this overall scoring boom in the NBA right now? How do you think that is going to further affect LeBron's numbers? Like, how high could this record theoretically go even as he remains consistent?
Well, the scoring boom has actually already helped LeBron James, and some of the key factors of what's going on in the NBA, the game has become faster and it's become more reliant on three-point shots. And earlier in his career, LeBron was not really known as a shooter, but over these last couple of years, he's really evolved into a strong three-point shooter. So in that way, he's actually following the trend and benefiting from the trend, and it's really helped him prop up his scoring average, even though he's gotten into his late 30s, which is typically when NBA players would really tail off hard. as scorers. So it's become a less physically punishing league as well, which potentially helps him avoid injuries. And there's one other key factor, and I think a lot of people enjoy this. LeBron's teenage son is a freshman at USC.
No.
And Bronny, and he's a prospect who was pretty well regarded coming out of high school and had some health difficulties last summer. But there's still a chance that Bronny James, LeBron's son, would be a first-round or second-round draft pick in this summer's draft. And if that's the case, LeBron would be able to fulfill his goal of playing with his son in the NBA, sort of like Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. played baseball together years ago. And so that's one more reason for LeBron to stick around and make this record even higher.
Ben Golliver of the Washington Post, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
This is NPR News.
It's 4:29. I'm Gwendolyn Glenn, and this is All Things Considered on 90.7 WFAE and WFAE.org. Up ahead, the Air National Guardsman accused of leaking secret U.S. military documents online has pleaded guilty under the terms of a plea deal. He faces between 11 and 16 plus years in prison. That story in about 10 minutes. Support comes from WFAE listeners and Tyndall Subaru, celebrating the A Lot of Love event through April 1st with Subaru Loves Learning donations to the Gaston County Education Foundation and Subaru Loves Pets adoption events.
Bless you, Daddy.
It's currently 71 degrees in Charlotte, 72 in Rock Hill, 71 in Hickory. It's 4:30.
It's All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Elsa Chang.
And I'm Ari Shapiro. Next, how an actor's grandmother influenced her Oscar-nominated performance.
I'm always trying to leave Easter eggs or subliminal messages, whatever you want to call it, with my characters.
Divine Joy Randolph on her role in The Holdovers.
First, the newscast.
Live from NPR News in Culver City, California, I'm Dwayne Brown. A big win for Donald Trump ahead of tomorrow's Super Tuesday primary elections in more than a dozen states. Colorado will have to reinstate the former president on the ballot tomorrow after the Supreme Court today unanimously rejected the state's attempts to ban him. The justices did not consider whether Trump was an insurrectionist during the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, but ruled only Congress can disqualify a federal candidate from national office. Jenna Griswold is Colorado's Secretary of State.
Overall, I think it's important that the court issued the decision because Colorado voters and all American voters deserve to know whether Donald Trump is eligible to be on ballot. With that said, I am disappointed in the decision. I believe Colorado should have the right to bar oath-breaking insurrectionists from our ballot.
The Supreme Court decision effectively ends efforts by other states, including Maine and Illinois, of removing Trump off their primary ballots. In Indiana, some university professors say a bill headed to the governor's desk would gut tenure protections for member station WFIU.
Good.
Ethan Sandweiss reports some worry if passed, they could be fired for what they teach and research.
The bill empowers a public university's board of trustees to deny or revoke tenure if a professor is unlikely to promote, quote, intellectual diversity in the classroom. Its supporters say it'll help conservative students feel welcome on campus, but faculty worry the bill is so broad they could be removed on political grounds. Ed Delaney, a Democratic state representative from Indianapolis, accused its authors of undercutting academic freedom.
You're requiring the professors, for example, in sociology or political science, to give a range of opinions and to be neutral, in effect. No. You are neutering, neutering, your faculty.
About 1 week remains in Indiana's State House session, and it falls on Republican Governor Eric Holcomb to pass or veto.
This is NPR.
This is WFAE News. I'm Kenneth Lee. The number of people who voted early in heavily Democratic Mecklenburg County dropped by 25% compared to the 2020 primary, with no competitive Democratic primary for president. The number of Republicans voting early, while still much smaller, increased significantly, however. Early voting ended Saturday. Polls open tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. and will be open until 7:30 p.m. Generations of people in North Carolina and across the country have been fascinated by the mystery of the lost colony ever since more than 100 colonists disappeared in the late 1500s, with no clear explanation of what happened to them. A new dig may hold some answers. PRE's Annette Weston Riggs has more.
This week, archaeologists with the First Colony Foundation will start a new dig at Roanoke Island's Elizabethan Gardens, looking for more evidence of the Algonquin village of Waanawak that hosted Sir Walter Raleigh's explorers in 1584. The week-long dig, starting Monday, is the first of two the foundation has planned. The other will take place at Fort Raleigh later this spring.
That it would be interesting